Have you ever stopped to think that maybe the most repeated question in science is actually wrong? So many people insist on asking, what was there before the Big Bang? As if the answer were simple. But what if the universe itself is telling us that the very idea of before doesn't exist? This contradiction may sound illogical, yet that's where the true beauty of the mystery lies. Once we grasp this, the quest stops being about obvious answers and becomes a path of transformation. It's fascinating. The more we study the cosmos, the more we realize how fragile our certainties are. What once seemed impossible suddenly gets unveiled by a new discovery. It can be unsettling, but it also opens the door to entirely new horizons. And what if emptiness is not the absence of everything, but rather a fertile ground for creation? Perhaps nothing is far less frightening and far more promising than we imagine. This video is an invitation for you to explore these ideas without the fear of getting lost. Here, we won't offer shallow explanations, but deep reflections. You'll encounter paradoxes, analogies, and connections that will truly resonate with you. And maybe, just maybe, you'll realize that the mysteries of the universe also speak about your own life. Because in the end, to understand the cosmos is also to understand ourselves. The universe's zero instant is a frontier that barely fits within our language. All energy and matter were compressed into an unimaginable singularity. There, the known laws of physics dissolved like chalk under the rain. Then came cosmic inflation, an absurd expansion in mere fractions of a second. The fabric of space stretched faster than any beam of light could ever travel. It was like pressing play on a film that had no tape, no camera, no theater. In that single gesture, both the stage appeared and the show began. Not only did space emerge, time itself started to flow. That's why asking what came before makes no sense in this scenario. Before is a word that only exists after the clock is born. It was a beginning without a past, the kickoff of every story to come. And this idea feels less distant when we recall what it means to start from scratch. Think of arriving alone in a city where you don't know a single soul. There are no familiar streets, no routines, no references to lean on. Every corner becomes a discovery, like galaxies blooming on your personal map. The first conversations are like stars lighting up in your inner sky. Life's own inflation happens when new possibilities suddenly explode. The emptiness that scares you also frees you, because nothing ties you to what was. It's pure potential, begging for form, direction, and courage. In these beginnings, the past doesn't command. The future is what pulls you forward. The Big Bang stops being a distant metaphor and becomes an intimate mirror. Creation begins the moment you decide to press your own play. The same is true for your very first day in a completely new job. There are no shortcuts, and even the clock seems to tick at a different pace. Every simple gesture carries weight because it inaugurates a new routine. From nothing, structure arises, and from hesitation, movement is born. Just as the singularity carried galaxies in potential, you carry entire paths. Every first decision is a universe waiting to expand. We are tiny Big Bangs ourselves, opening space with courageous choices. Abundance only comes after the step that breaks the silence. And when it feels like we've understood the stage, a new chapter unfolds. In the cosmos, that chapter was the first light that pierced the darkness. That's when the story revealed its first hints of what we were destined to become. The first light of the universe wasn't a flash, it was a persistent whisper. We call that whisper the cosmic microwave background, the famous CMB. Think of it as the universe's baby picture, still a little blurry. The portrait was taken when the cosmos was about 380,000 years old. Before that, the soup was opaque, photons trapped in endless collisions. As it cooled, light broke free and left its imprint across space. That image carries tiny ripples full of subtle clues. They are marks of density, pointing to where gravity would prevail. In simple terms, Sketches of Future Cradles of Galaxies. It's an ancient album, but one that still speaks directly to the present. Looking at the CMB is like opening the very first chapter of our own story. Now bring that into your life and notice the rhyme. Everyone has old photos that reveal hints of what was to come. A shy smile, a curious gaze, a certain way of walking. Small details that together tell a lot about who you are. The CMB does the same. Micro variations that guided immense destinies. What looks like noise is, in truth, precious information, like childhood advice that shapes adult decisions. It's the past whispering, "Here lies hidden potential." When we read the map, we act with greater intention. Nothing was random. There were patterns asking to unfold, and patterns demand action in the cosmos and in your daily life. Scientists measure those ripples and build models of growth. Where there was just a little more matter, gravity pulled harder. Gas gathered, cooled, and began to spark faint points of light. They were the first stars rehearsing their debut on a dark stage. Physics confirms, ancient light prepares the light that will come. In life, the right memories also prepare your new beginnings. Choose to nurture the densest points along your path. Study, connect, and focus on where the future can shine brightest. That's how background noise turns into a constellation of results. In the universe, we call this shift the cosmic dawn. It's the perfect moment to light the very first candle in the room. For millions of years, the universe remained submerged in complete darkness. This silent period is called the cosmic night, a time without stars. Nothing shone, only the cold vastness waiting for the unexpected to unfold. Then, at last, something extraordinary broke through that deep and endless silence. The first stars were born, giants far larger than our sun. They lived fast, burning intensely and dying in violent explosions. This cosmic awakening is what scientists call the cosmic dawn. It was like lighting the very first candle in an empty, pitch-dark room. Light changed not only the environment, but also the way reality was perceived. In that instant, the universe seemed to breathe for the very first time, and darkness was never the same after that flash. This phenomenon can also be understood as a metaphor for life. We have all faced periods of silence, doubt, or complete uncertainty, and often it takes only a simple gesture to transform the path ahead. It might be an unexpected opportunity, or a word that brings comfort. Those tiny sparks hold the power to change entire destinies. Like the first stars, they don't need to defeat the night on their own. They simply prove that darkness is not an eternal place. Every light that shines makes room for new possibilities to emerge. In life, one step can ignite the courage for many more steps to follow. The universe teaches us that great transformations often begin quietly, and that is the beauty. From something small, the absolutely immense can arise. Today, we can see that past thanks to the James Webb Telescope. It has captured images of galaxies born right after this cosmic dawn. It's like looking at the childhood album of the universe itself, old photographs revealing traces of what was already destined to be. These galaxies show the seeds of everything that would later flourish. In life, too, we look back and notice those subtle signs. Small gestures become the pillars of the future we are building. The cosmic dawn proves that beginnings are not always grand. One single star is enough to change the fate of an entire night. This awakening didn't end anything. It simply opened vast new possibilities, and right after it came structures so strange they defy all logic. When scientists first began mapping the universe on a large scale, something unexpected appeared. They found gigantic patterns that seemed to defy the very rules of cosmology. Among these discoveries are the Big Ring and the Giant Arc, immense structures in space. They are so large that they stretch across billions of light years in the cosmos. According to the Standard Model, the universe should be homogeneous on such vast scales. Yet these arrangements suggest that matter organizes itself in surprising ways. It's like walking through a city expecting only small, ordinary houses. and suddenly stumbling upon skyscrapers that pierce the clouds and change everything. That very sense of astonishment is what astronomers themselves experienced. The structures seemed almost impossible to exist within accepted theories. And yet, there they were, stamped onto the cosmic map for all to see. This kind of discovery sparks a powerful reflection about our own lives. So often we believe we understand how the world is supposed to work. We create mental models, rules, and predictions that feel solid and reliable. But suddenly something arises that completely dismantles our inner logic. It could be an unexpected situation, a challenge, or even an opportunity. It's as if we encountered a skyscraper where we expected only simple huts. These ruptures may shatter our certainties, but they also open space for growth. They remind us that the world is bigger than we initially imagined. Discomfort can be the very sign that we're facing something transformative. And just like scientists, we must learn to confront the unexpected, because what seemed impossible yesterday may become tomorrow's new normal. Looking at the big ring or the giant arc is to face the universe's boldness. It is to accept that reality cannot fully fit into our current models, and that's not a sign of failure, but of how much there is still to uncover. Each strange structure is an invitation to refine theories and expand horizons. In life, this invitation often arrives as changes we resist accepting. Lost jobs, relationships that end, or paths that suddenly close off. All of it feels impossible to reconcile until we discover new possibilities. Just like cosmic skyscrapers, life raises unexpected structures, and it's up to us to decide whether we see them only as chaos or as new directions. These surprises push us into the unknown, and that is where learning resides. The next step is to explore whether the Big Bang was truly the absolute beginning. For a long time, we believed the Big Bang was the absolute starting point, but some brilliant minds began to question this single version of events. Physicist Roger Penrose, for instance, suggests an infinite cyclic universe. In this view, each cosmic death plants the seeds of a brand new beginning. It's as if the universe breathes, exhale, die, and then inhale once more. The models speak of the so-called Big Bounce or Great Cosmic Leap. In this scenario, a previous universe collapses and gives rise to ours. It would be like falling hard to the ground and using the impact to spring up again. There's also the hypothesis of multiple mini Big Bangs scattered across space. Each explosion would mark the birth of an independent cosmic bubble, and together those bubbles would form a multiverse beyond imagination. These ideas may seem distant, but they carry deeply human lessons. Who hasn't lived through a failure that felt like the end of everything? Losing a job, a relationship, or a project can be devastating, but often it's precisely from that collapse that the chance to begin again emerges. Life too seems to work in cycles of death and rebirth. There are times when we must allow something to end completely. Only then can we make space for the new to flourish with greater strength. It's like the seasons. The cold winter prepares the vibrant spring, or like the fall of a tree that enriches the soil for new seeds to grow. The universe seems to remind us that no ending is truly final, only transitions, pushing us toward greater and unexpected horizons. To imagine cyclic universes is to accept that nothingness can be fertile. It is to admit that even within chaos lies the foundation for new order. These theories beyond the Big Bang invite us to expand our minds. They whisper that what is impossible today may become tomorrow's reality. And in life, it is no different. We fall, we rise, we learn, and we move on. Every loss can transform into the starting point for something greater. The Big Bounce is the perfect metaphor for the leap after a hard fall. While multiple universes remind us there are always more options than we see. All of this shows us that the end is simply another form of beginning. And if beginning again is always possible, then the next step is inevitable. Topico 6. O significado do nada. The question, what existed before the Big Bang, intrigues even the greatest minds. But perhaps the very question itself is framed in the wrong way. If time was born alongside the universe, then there was no possible before. Asking this would be like trying to find what lies north of the North Pole. There is no coordinate, no direction, no reference to lean on. Nothing, in this sense, isn't an empty void with space around it, but total absence. It is the lack of even the conditions that would allow us to define emptiness. An uncomfortable idea, because our minds insist on searching for origins. We crave beginnings, middles, and endings to feel secure, but the universe shows us that not all of our questions make sense. Sometimes the key is to change the question instead of chasing the answer. This philosophical concept echoes directly into our personal lives. How many times have you insisted on looking for answers in the wrong place? Maybe you sought worth in the approval of others, but never found it, or tried to make sense of failure through the lens of why me? In many cases, the answer doesn't lie in the event, but in the framing. We must recognize when the question itself is the trap. By reframing it, we discover perspectives that were once invisible. Just as in the cosmos, it's not about finding an impossible before, it's about understanding the present and what it makes possible anew. That shift in perspective can turn suffering into learning, and learning into energy for the next stage of the journey. The cosmic nothing, therefore, doesn't need to be seen as a threat. It can be interpreted as an invitation to radical creativity. If there was no time, no space, no laws, then everything could be invented from there. In the same way, when our own references collapse, a fertile field emerges. It is in emptiness that the chance arises to write different stories. There is no fixed destiny when we face nothingness head-on. Instead, there is freedom to imagine and create futures once thought unreachable. Thus, nothing ceases to be absence and becomes potential. The universe began from that total absence, which birthed abundance, and we too can be reborn from our own absences. Because the end of one explanation can be the beginning of a greater one. So we must face directly the most intriguing question of all: nothing. The universe has shown us that even emptiness can be fertile and full of potential. If stars could be born out of darkness, then we too can be reborn from nothing. The question is no longer, what was there before, but what can we create now? And perhaps that is the greatest lesson. A beginning doesn't need explanation, only courage. Just like the cosmos, each of us carries a big bang waiting to explode. Now think, what are the questions you've been repeating without even noticing? Do they still make sense, or are they only keeping you stuck in the same place? Maybe it's time to shift your focus, to start asking new questions, because sometimes transformation doesn't come from the answer, but from the way we look at it. And it's in the very moment we change the question that a new universe opens. So I ask you, what will be your next creation out of nothingness? What star will you ignite in the darkness of your own life? Share your reflection in the comments and send this video to someone special. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because the journey through the cosmos and within ourselves is only just beginning.